The 1983 New Orleans Saints are on a different wavelength than Saints teams of the past. They're tuned into the idea that they can hang tough against the NFL's best. And last Sunday in Dallas, the Saints displayed perfect pitch for most of the contest as Ken Stabler had them in control of the airwaves. By posting a 20-13 fourth quarter advantage, it seemed that the Saints had locked onto the right frequency for success. But then they got jammed by a blocked field goal, a number 27, Ron Fellows' 62-yard scoring run. Despite Fellows' touchdown, the Cowboys trailed 20-19 with less than 2 minutes to play. But then the usually crafty Stabler did something decidedly uncrafty. He dropped back to pass from his own 5-yard line, and a blitzing Anthony Dickerson, number 51, made him pay for it. Dickerson sacked the Snake for a safety that gave undefeated Dallas a 21-20 win and left the Saints' new wavelength crackling with the same old static. The San Diego Chargers began this season inflated with playoff promise, but their tottering balloon was burst in resounding fashion by the Cleveland Browns. Number 89, Wes Chandler, suffered a broken tooth and lacerated lip, and there were times in the contest when the entire San Diego offense looked in dire need of a facelift. While San Diego was getting tripped up, the Browns were also losing their footing, but they still managed to stumble onto something good. Ozzie Newsome, number 82, caught the first of 3 Brian Sipe scoring passes, and when Sipe connected with number 89, Bobby Jones, Cleveland assumed a 21-10 third-quarter lead. But Dan Fouts got the Chargers back into the fray with 2 touchdown throws to Chandler, who demonstrated that while his face had been roughed up, his marvelous hands remained as smooth as silk. The Chargers regained the lead but were unable to hold on to it. Then in overtime, Sipe teamed with Harry Holt, number 81, on a pass play that added yet another fish story to the porous San Diego defense's ever-expanding collection of ones that got away. With their 30-24 victory, the 3-1 Browns continued to display the same breathless brand of football that enabled them to reach the playoffs 3 years ago. The Chargers, meanwhile, fell to 1-3, suggesting that their lofty preseason hopes appear at this stage to be just so much hot air. Ladies and gentlemen, shake hands with Billy Johnson of the Atlanta Falcons. At 31, Johnson is just as personable and effervescent as he was when he came into the league 9 seasons ago. He's also just as agile, as number 81 demonstrated with a 20-yard scoring reception in San Francisco, his first NFL touchdown since 1980. Once in the end zone, Johnson also demonstrated that he could teach Michael Jackson a step or two. But while White Shoes gyrates like no other Atlanta receiver, quarterback Steve Bartkowski has a few pass catchers who can run faster. One of them is Floyd Hodge, number 83, who teamed with Bart for a 76-yard scoring play. But Bartkowski's bombs were countered by a steady barrage from Joe Montana and reliable receiver Dwight Clark, number 87, who did his dancing through the Falcons' defense to score 2 touchdowns. Three Montana scoring passes provided the 49ers with a 24-20 win and their 3rd straight victory, proving that San Francisco's resurgence is pitched at ultra-high frequency, coming in loud and clear. Like this stadium rabble-rouser, in Miami, both the Dolphin and Chief offenses deserve to be locked up and the key thrown away. The two teams combined to commit an unforgivable 12 turnovers as they pass the ball back and forth the entire game. But thanks to two short Miami touchdowns, one a David Woodley pass to rookie Dan Johnson, the Dolphins snuck out with a 14-6 win over a Kansas City team that hasn't scored a touchdown in its last two games. Scoring touchdowns has not been a dilemma for the Rams in 1983, thanks to the arrival of number 29, Eric Dickerson. Dickerson's two touchdown runs, including this 85-yarder, gave Los Angeles a 14-7 lead. The Jets' defense against the run has been suspect this season. However, their prowess in playing the pass remains unquestioned. But when Mark Gastineau began to boogie, the Rams decided if he was going to dance to the music, it was time he paid the piper. When the Rowdies were eventually escorted from the dance hall, Richard Todd sauntered out and promptly waltzed his way into the Ram end zone. Todd completed 37 of 50 passes for 446 yards and two touchdowns in the Jets' 27-24 overtime win. While Todd's performance was one he'll probably long remember, quarterback Jack Thompson's start against his former teammates was an experience he'd like to soon forget. The only reason Cincinnati is not the lowest scoring team in the NFL is because they moved ahead of Tampa Bay by returning a Thompson pass for a touchdown. In a battle between two ailing offenses, the Bengals limped away with a 23-17 win. In Denver, the Broncos showed their colors and prepared to battle the Los Angeles Raiders. While many thought the only flag Denver would wave against the Raiders would be a white one, the Broncos soon proved they were willing to take on Los Angeles in an all-out war. The Broncos wouldn't be bullied by the roughneck Raider defense. However, the soft touch of Jim Plunkett in the offense proved deadly. Two touchdown passes to Cliff Branch helped give the Raiders a 20-0 fourth quarter lead. With Denver quarterback John Elway once again on the bench, once again nursing an injury, after once again being unable to move the offense, the Broncos special teams took matters into their own hands. Unfortunately, Zach Thomas's 70-yard punt return was of little significance, as any hopes of a Denver comeback were put to rest by a stunning Greg Townsend, number 93. Steve DeBerg's fairy tale finishes finally came to an end as the Raiders kept their undefeated record intact with a 22-7 win. After 2 victories in a row, the specter of making the Washington Redskins victim number 3 loomed as a formidable task for the Seattle Seahawks. Chuck Knox's upstart crew had conquered the Jets and Chargers with a time-consuming ground attack. Against the Redskins, the NFL's leading defender against the run, Seattle's ball control plans came to a crushing halt. The Seahawks were forced to take to the air, although that has never been a problem for Jim Zorn and Steve Largent. Zorn and Largent hooked up 8 times for 130 yards and 2 touchdowns. But it was the Seattle defense, as it has so often in the past, that unraveled at the prospect of a bombs-away passing game. Joe Theismann found the air-conditioned currents of the Kingdome much to his liking, hitting on touchdown passes of 47 yards to Alvin Garrett and for 64 yards to number 87, Charlie Brown. While the Redskins strolled out of Seattle with a 27-17 victory, their 9th straight on the road and only 2 short of the NFL record, the Houston Oilers stumbled into Buffalo, looking to extend a 10-game win streak against the Bills that dates back 17 years. But the shocking and startling departure of Archie Manning and Dave Casper did little to rattle the Oilers out of their winless ways. Houston continued to play with all the aplomb that befits a team that has not won a game in over a year. Number 91, Ken Johnson, led a Buffalo assault that sacked Oiler quarterback Gifford Nielsen 7 times and produced 7 points on its own. Johnson's jarring hit severed the ball from Nielsen's body and into the awaiting arms of number 43, cornerback Dave Kilson, who raced down the sideline for the score. The Bills have yielded just 3 touchdowns in 4 games, and finally against Houston, Buffalo's offense matched its defense in attack and tenacity. Joe Cribbs ran for a personal best 166 yards, and Joe Ferguson fired 2 touchdown passes, one to ageless wonder Frank Lewis, and another to number 8, Jerry Butler. The Bills' 30-13 victory ended Houston's 17-year hex, which at 10 games was the longest domination of one NFL team over another. But it has also been 6 games and 17 seasons since the Chicago Bears last defeated the Baltimore Colts. Mike Pagel and Bernard Henry might not have been aware of their team's dominance over their interconference rivals when they hooked up for a 19-yard touchdown. But this pass play and 2 Raul Alegre field goals helped the Colts take a 19-12 lead into the 4th quarter. The aggressive young Colt defense had already disposed of sore-legged Walter Payton in the 1st quarter, and repeated blitzing like that of number 44, cornerback Kendall Williams, also made for a quick exit to the showers for number 9, quarterback Jim McMahon. But Bear backup Vince Evans rallied his team to 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns, running one in himself from 8 yards and citing Willie Gault for 57 yards on another. For the second week in a row, the Bears had come from behind on bombs to Willie Gault, sending the game into overtime. And for the second week in a row, they lost in overtime. Raul Alegre's 10th field goal in his 11th attempt of the season sealed the Colts' second victory. Raul Alegre's name may sound like a tempo for a dance drummer's beat, but his sure-footed finesse has rung sweet music into the ears of long-suffering Colt fans. Receiver Pat Tilley greeted the Eagles with the following prediction. Receiving mate Roy Green would be the game's hero, running into the end zone with a game winner. What Tilley could not have predicted was that the anemic Cardinal defense would finally take charge. Nineteen-year veteran Jim Hart didn't have a chance to confer with Tilley before the game and looked not to Roy Green but to another target. It appeared as though Tilley's vision of victory was a bit blurred as Hart's strike to number 80 Doug Marsh still left the Cardinals trailing by 4. But then suddenly, with only seconds left, Tilley's crystal ball shined crystal clear. Number 81, Roy Green, was the game's hero as his 26-yard scoring catch with only 29 seconds remaining lifted the Cardinals to a stunning come-from-behind win, 14-11. Of late, the once exciting Cardinals have produced more yawns than points, but this win harkened back to the good old days of the Cardiac Cards. And up in Minnesota, the glory days of the old Vikings were harkened back as well. The blocked punt, a Viking trademark, conjures up visions of those daring Minnesota special teams of the past. And this one against the Lions helped spark the Vikings to a 17-0 lead, a lead that quickly became a memory. Mark Nichols' 41-yard scoring reception helped tie it at 17. But what won it for the Vikings was yet another old trademark: defense. Five interceptions and 8 sacks netted a hard-fought 20-17 victory, a victory the old Vikes would have been proud of. September 25th, 1983 is the date, and Franco Harris is the man. On this date, Franco passed another number 32, O.J. Simpson, to slide into second place on the all-time rushing list behind yet another number 32, Jim Brown. Harris has done it all. With over 11,000 yards gained and nearly 100 touchdowns scored, the certain Hall of Famer achieved another plateau. Unfortunately, while Harris was logging another entry in the record books, the New England Patriots were busy entering a win in the NFL standings. Steve Nelson and number 53, Clayton Weissoon, teamed up to tie the game at 7. But after New England led by 5 in the fourth quarter, the Steelers remembered that while Franco's big day was important, a victory was even more so. Walter Abercrombie's catch with just under 5 minutes remaining gave the Steelers a 23-21 lead. But just as it seemed that the Steelers had Franco Harris Day in perspective, again they seemed to have forgotten something and left victory behind. Quarterback Steve Grogan and rookie racehorse Stephen Starring, number 81, dramatically lowered the curtain on what was to be a wonderful event in the Three Rivers Playhouse. On a day in which Franco was to be starring, Stephen stole the show with a 76-yard journey that gave New England its second upset win, a win that no one could have predicted.